there was a conviction without proof of a crime. A conviction under the Official Secrets Act requires that someone collected or shared material with intent to prejudice the state. But the documents that were in the journalists' hands when they were arrested were not state secrets. They were actually not even secret. And the journalists did not seek to harm the state. They were simply doing their job. But the judge entered a conviction anyway, because Wallone's old notebook included the phone number of a member of the Arakan Army, an armed group that Wallone was reporting on when he worked for the Myanmar Times. The judge could not point to any contact with this phone number, but found that the journalist was still guilty because, quote, the number was evidence that, quote, there are opportunities for the defendants to transmit security information to anti-government groups. Opportunities. Well, how convenient. Instead of the prosecution having to prove guilty conduct beyond doubt, the defense has to prove that such conduct is not theoretically possible. That makes this a conviction without a crime. There was no presumption of innocence, rather a predetermination of guilt. And you don't need to take my word for it. Every single observer of this trial has agreed that it was a farce. In Myanmar, young people took to the streets to protest the conviction. The Press Council and 83 civil society groups criticized the judgment. Senior members of the governing party called the prosecution unfair, and local media published blacked-out front pages in solidarity with the two journalists. Across the region, press associations and parliamentarians from Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, the Philippines, and Indonesia all condemned the verdict. And around the world, officials from the United Nations, the United States, the United Kingdom, the EU, Canada, Australia, and Bangladesh, newspapers including the Washington Post, the New York Times, The Economist, and Le Monde, as well as every major free press NGO in the world, agree that this conviction is a travesty of justice. But Aung San Suu Kyi has herself spoken of the need for a free press if Myanmar is to transition to a full democracy. She has praised the value of journalism in revealing wrongdoing and said that freedom begins with freedom of speech. She knows that mass murder is not a state secret and that exposing it doesn't turn a journalist into a spy. She is the Nobel Peace Prize winner whose name was whispered in the halls of St. Hugh's College, Oxford, where she and I both studied. When I was a student, she was a hero to me, as she has been to so many human rights advocates around the world and to so many of the 50 million people in Myanmar whose lives she promised to change. She allowed young people to hope for a free Myanmar that respected the rule of law, and her own life story made them believe that it was possible. Aung San Suu Kyi knows better than anyone what it is like to be a political prisoner in Myanmar. She has slept in a cell at the prison where Wallone and Kyaw now sleep. But today, she holds the key to their liberty, the key to reuniting them with their young children, the key to freedom of the press, the key to truth and accountability, and the key to a more democratic and prosperous Myanmar. History will judge her on her response.